Today we're talking about what the future of jazz education might look like. Welcome back to Create, Connect, Repeat. My name is Nick Finzer, and today we're talking about what I think some parts of jazz education could look like into the future. And these are some preliminary thoughts, and I want to start a conversation with what you think about how we could change jazz education into the future to make it great for not only the students involved, but the community as a whole, the jazz community, the creative music community, and how we can all benefit from a few maybe changes in the way that people teach and learn about music and specifically jazz. So for me, I feel like there's a few things that are not negotiable when it comes to learning music as a school, as a degree program, especially as a higher education. And number one, that is instrument mastery. And what I mean is you need to study your instrument. For me, trombone, that means studying brass pedagogy. That means figuring out what a great sound is. That means playing in tune, playing in time. That means being able to do a lot of the basic skills that go along with playing a brass instrument and studying how the sound is created and how to implement that in a jazz and improvised context. So for me, number one, that's non-negotiable, and studying with a classical teacher, someone that really understands the fundamentals of the instrument, is paramount. No matter how great of an improviser a musician is, that does not necessarily make them super focused on fundamentals. And I think it's really important, especially as an undergraduate, to focus on the fundamentals. Also to develop your creativity, 100%, but to get those fundamentals together so that you're free to create. I think being a master of your instrument as a craft needs to happen first before you can be free as an artist. So number one, I think we should be focusing highly at the beginning of our jazz education on the pedagogy of the instrument that we're on. Number two, I think it's really important, especially as a student. We don't really want to take theory and history, but I think it's really important to have the context later for all of those different types of things. And it's important to be challenged. It's important to learn things that you don't want to learn. We don't know it until later. These are things that we need to do. So I think being a part of a jazz history course, not only a jazz history course, but a classical music history course, a Western history course, a Eastern, like the rest of the world, learning about different ethnic musics and kind of having context for how jazz fits into the pan-global music scene is really important. Just to know where it came from, how jazz evolved out of Western African music and Caribbean music, and the relationship there is just so deep. And to understand all that, I didn't even get an inkling of that until I was in my graduate school program. And I think that's super interesting, and it makes a lot of sense to kind of delve into all those things, maybe as an undergrad first. Number three, another thing that we say that we don't really want as undergrads, but it's the gen ed requirements, the general education, the writing, the reading, the math, all that stuff. I mean, I can't tell you how great it would have been if I had had more intense learning to write for grant applications, learning to write, to create marketing materials, different styles of writing. We learn maybe like how to write a paper for a specific teacher, but to learn specific styles of writing that are going to help us into the future with the different types of projects that we're going to be involved with as artists, and writing for cover letters and resumes and all these kind of things, I think would be a great place to serve some practical information to our students. Number four, I think turning our composition and arranging classes into practicums. What I mean is practical project-oriented classes where you have to write for a specific concert, not necessarily a specific reading session, but a specific concert, because there's way more consequences for the students to write a great arrangement or good arrangement that they're going to feel excited about, whether it's for nonette or octet or big band or whatever it is. But having these arranging and composition classes that lead up to a recording session or a concert, that there's actual physical pain if you don't do it, and if you don't do it well, you're going to be ashamed of having your work in front of everyone. So I think project-oriented, task-oriented classes where things lead up to the actual thing that we're going to be doing in the field, which is arranging for a record or arranging for a concert, whether it's small group or large ensemble, is irrelevant. So creating a curriculum that lines up with performance ensembles could be a great way to take those arranging and composition classes to the next level. Something that I don't think enough schools take advantage of is the fact of the general economic situation with musicians in this country in 2017, and that would be to bring in specialized people once a month to bring in their specialty, to bring in their flavor, to bring in their expertise, and to augment what all the teachers are already doing that are there on the day-to-day. A lot of programs want to bring in a big name faculty member, and those faculty members maybe don't want to live in that particular place because the rest of the year there's no creative outlets for them. And that's a big reason why a lot of people stay in New York and don't leave and go to teach at a university. Those people have so much to share and they want to share, and I think colleges don't realize what they could do to get them, offering them a part-time position with maybe some benefits. A lot of people would definitely do that, and so many programs could be taken up levels by having a fantastic saxophone professor from New York fly in once a month, a great trumpet professor fly in once a month, just to offer the students some guidance in terms of jazz trumpet playing, to augment what they're already learning with their classical teacher. There's so much there, I think. There's so much potential to grow a program by augmenting their day-to-day faculty with outside faculty members. They could actually function with a much smaller base and bring in a lot of these part-time faculty that would make it amazing. Bringing in one person for one concert and another person for another concert. The students would be so much more excited to have all these different people coming in all the time. San Francisco Conservatory, they just started a program this last year, and that's what they're doing, and I think it's super cool. I think it's going to be a great program. I think it's definitely one to watch. Number 6, I think ensembles, whether it's large ensemble or small ensemble, they should be treated like working bands. Imagine that you're hired with this band. Maybe it's not your ideal band. Maybe you want to play a saxophone trio or a quartet, but you are in a nonette with 5 horns and 4 rhythm, and now that's your band. You're going to need to write charts. You guys are going to have to book gigs. You're going to have to book recitals. You're going to have to get repertoire together. You're going to have to find concert experiences that the audience might enjoy. You have to pitch concerts to the office so that they approve your themes, and trying to come up with ways from scratch, because that is the thing that you're gonna have to do in real life. So taking these ensembles and creating the students' responsibility to create projects out of them and create success out of these bands, whether it's 1 band per school or 10 bands per school, having each one in charge of what the end result is. Obviously with faculty, helping them to shape repertoire that's appropriate, to find the things that they need to learn, but having the students able to shape it in a way and own it, I think, is a big part of what's missing in many settings. Not all, but many settings. Number 7, something that I think would be so amazing is if, instead of focusing so much on a senior recital or a master's recital, let's take that money that everybody's spending and let them use the studio at your school. Let's have everyone have an album by the time they're out. Why not? I don't understand. I mean, whether it's original music or the music they've been working on, whether it gets released commercially or not, let them go through the process. Let them use the facilities that the school already has. I don't understand why people will go through, they get a piece of paper, but they can't have an audio copy of their progress from the 4 years they were in school. The first thing you need to do after you get out of school all the time is, I have to go put a band together and make a record. Why can't they have a record when they come out of school? So those are just some preliminary thoughts that I've had about making jazz school better. Let me know what you guys are thinking about in the comments below. As always, thanks for sticking around, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and we'll see you back here next week.